Hello, and thank you all for joining us today. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the founding of Blue Shield International. To celebrate this, the National Committee of Blue Shield Germany is conducting a series of interviews with key individuals involved in Blue Shield missions as well as projects. These interviews allow us to gain insight into different perspectives when discussing the role and importance of Blue Shield in the wider context of safeguarding heritage. My name is Mary Kane, and I'm joined by Mita and Fernanda Quintino, students of BTU Cottbus in the World Heritage Studies program. For this interview, we are focusing on individual members involved with Blue Shield Germany and their experiences with the institute. We're joined here today by Professor Markus Hilgert. Hello, Professor. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Just to give listeners a brief introduction, Professor Hilgert is an Assyriologist and current Secretary General and CEO of the Cultural Foundation of the German Federal States. In 2016, he was appointed as the National Correspondent for Blue Shield Germany and eventually served as the founding president from 2016 to 2018. Today, we would like to discuss Professor Hilgert's involvement with Blue Shield Germany and the importance of Blue Shield for the protection of heritage. So, Professor Hilgert, why do you think it's important for Blue Shield to exist in Germany? Why do you think it was important for Germany to have a committee in the first place?
I think there are three reasons that are really important and that sort of motivated us to establish a national committee. One is that the Hague Convention, the 1954 convention, is an extremely important document, and it's not a document that's out of date, but it's very relevant and very current in many ways. And since Blue Shield is linked so closely to the Hague Convention, we thought it was important to have this knowledge base in Germany that helps with the implementation of the 54 convention. And this is probably also the second answer, or the second aspect. Blue Shield is an immense knowledge base and advocate for the protection of cultural heritage. And Germany is a landscape with lots of cultural institutions, with monuments, with heritage sites, a lot of world heritage sites actually. So I think it's extremely important to have this cross-sectoral initiative that brings together different expertise from libraries, from archives, from museums, but of course also in Germany from the National Commission for UNESCO. In order to protect this rich cultural landscape, we need a concerted effort, and that maybe is a third argument. I've always been intrigued with the role of the civil society in the protection of cultural heritage in conflict situation or in situations of crisis. And I think when it comes to sustainable patterns of cultural heritage protection, we cannot do it without the civil society. The state can do only so much, the cultural institutions can do only so much, but we need a very strong, a very broad base of civil society support to make this happen and to be successful. And this is why we started a little late in 2016, but we did it. And I'm very glad that Blue Shield Germany is blooming and so successful right now.
Thank you for that. In terms of establishing a committee in Germany, what were some of the challenges that you experienced when trying to establish?
I have to say that there were very few challenges, actually. Usually you would think that, it's a difficult process and it takes a while to convince people. We didn't have to convince anybody. I think it was the right time in 2016 also because we had become aware of what cultural heritage destruction does to society, looking to Iraq, looking to Syria, looking to North Africa. So I think the time was mature for the establishment of the National Committee. And I have to say, I didn't encounter any obstacles or any, of the classic challenges. I mean, maybe there are procedural challenges in setting up an association, but in terms of agreement between the actors, between the players, that we need something like this, that Germany needs a national committee of the Blue Shield, and that we need more effort in this area and more awareness raising, there were no challenges. I mean, it was piece of cake.
That's always something you hope when trying to establish committees like this. So with that in mind, what do you think are future possibilities or opportunities for Blue Shield Germany now, especially given current climate in heritage? What do you think the current opportunities or future will be?
I think the current pandemic is teaching us something about the resilience of societies, and it teaches us something about critical infrastructures. And I've always thought that culture, cultural heritage, is a critical infrastructure for a society that sees and understands itself as a society based on discourse, on diversity, and on tolerance. So I think it's important to think of resilience or social resilience also in terms of culture, and that means we need to think about how to protect culture in situations of crisis and conflict. And maybe our perception of what a crisis has to change. The Hague Convention talks primarily about military conflicts and conflicts using arms, but we're understanding right now that, for example, the climate change is, of course, a huge threatening challenge to cultural heritage. We understand that social unrest, even social unrest within a country, can damage cultural heritage to a large degree. One of my awakening experiences was the protest of the Gilets jaunes in Paris in December of 2018 in the middle of a Central European city that left the Arc de Triomphe Museum damaged and plundered. So I think we need to think of various factors that may threaten heritage and need to come up with strategies to heighten the resilience of our society in this area. And I think that Blue Shield is an important instrument in this context because it does bring together expertise from various fields. It brings together the civil society, the military, which is extremely important also as an institution who helps with natural catastrophes, for example, as we've seen in 2002 with the floods in Saxonia, for example, and the cultural institutions. Germany is in the heart of Europe. It's always been for millennia a battleground, and even though we haven't seen military conflicts in Central Europe for the last 80 years, nobody knows if it's going to stay like this. So I think it's really important to think about the protection of our common cultural heritage in situations that are not as peaceful, that are not as affluent as the current one. And I think we all realize that something is about to change in the world, that there are many geopolitical changes going on, and that our societies are threatened by inequality, by maybe the consequences of the pandemic, and all that taken together sort of makes a very, very good case for a strong national committee and for a strong international community of the Blue Shield.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us, Professor Hilgert. We're really happy that you had the chance to do this and are excited by your answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Great initiative.
Thank you. So for those of you viewing, please make sure to visit the links provided below this video to watch more interviews with actors in the heritage sector and their experiences with Blue Shield Germany.